This review was made possible by contributions from viewers like you.
Spooky, scary Bob Shoween, we're creepy, eerie pros. It's time for some of the worst movies and TV shows. Spooky, scary Bob Shoween, dribble, junk, and tripe. Maybe even a treat or two if you believe the hype. We're so sorry, cinema, but have you any pride? If you wanted to be good, then you should have tried. Spooky, scary Bob Shoween for entertaining you. We will make you laugh and scream, so just relax and boom! Greetings, honored guests. Before we begin today's excursion into the unknown, I would like to read a passage from one Mr. H.P. Lovecraft. For there the dark elements of strength, solitude, grotesqueness, and ignorance combine to form the perfection of the hideous. Well, if that doesn't sound like a kid's movie, I don't know what does. Today we're looking at Howard Lovecraft and the Frozen Kingdom. Yeah, for some reason, someone thought that the works of H.P. Lovecraft would make good material for a children's film. I get other monsters being sold to little kids. Everyone saw that Frankenstein's monster was the real victim back when his movies were fresh. But ancient space gods instilling unfathomable fear and hopelessness on all whose eyes fall upon them? How do you market that to kids? Are they counting on the word frozen in the title to carry most of the weight? We open on the titular Howard Lovecraft as a small boy in the middle of a dark and stormy night. And to be fair, I need to give the movie credit for at least trying to give us something spooky and atmospheric. If you're making a horror movie for little kids, it only makes sense to try to make it look kinda sorta Burton-esque. It's Howard's father's birthday, so his mother thinks that it would be nice to go and visit him. In the insane asylum. In the middle of the aforementioned dark and stormy night. Are you sure that Mom doesn't belong here? Little Howard is taken to his father, but it's impossible to get anything coherent out of him.
He's coming! He's coming!
Father!
Howard, son! Listen! Listen to me! Listen! But not to King Abdu, and not to the words. Don't ever listen to the words or symbols. The symbols will speak to you, but do not listen. Do not read.
Father!
Swear it! King Abdu, the Necronomicon. The words, the symbols, they will lead to the sleeper of Relay. The Necronomicon. Destroy it, Howard. Destroy it for my sake. For yours.
Oh, what do you think you're doing?
The symbols must be destroyed before they destroy us all.
Speaking of fathers, a quick look at this movie's IMDb page reveals that it was written and directed by Sean Patrick O'Reilly, and about half of the cast is filled with members of his own family. Sure, don't put Jane Curtin or Christopher Plummer to better use, just throw your family into the leading roles of Howard Lovecraft in the nepotistic kingdom. Later at home, we see Howard's mother and aunt talking about their situation.
I just worry. He's always been an odd child. That imagination of his, it puts off the other children. Now all he ever does is sit in his room alone and read.
There's nothing wrong with Howard loving to read. It's the only reasonable trait my nephew left his son. Must be in the blood because Winfield was never around. His incredible curiosity led to dark journeys. Ever since he was a boy, Winfield had a hunger for knowledge. He was always reading, always exploring.
The moral of this little story? Intellectual curiosity always leads to horror and madness. Howard can't sleep. I know you're all shocked. But his mom thinks that this old book might help.
This was your father's. I wasn't sure when I was going to give it to you.
But you did know that you were going to give it to him someday. This book that drove your husband insane, you sure you want to give that to your kid?
The fact that that's coming from you is incredibly ironic.
True, I believe that children do deserve to have scary stories given to them. But this thing that sent an adult man into the insane asylum, maybe you don't give that to your kids. His dad wrote about some other world that can't be seen, but apparently you can access it by saying the words,
Norfergo, Ranazen, Flugen.
That's when you run out of your room crying for your mother, and then she calls the local priest over to have the house blessed, right? Right? No, of course he tries to investigate further and gets sucked into God knows where. Or maybe the point is God doesn't know where, who can say? Maybe he just landed in Minnesota in October. He decides to have a look around, when suddenly...
Wheezy, stand down. Stand down.
Yeah, no. I don't care how twisted your imagination may be, but if you see this thing suddenly pop up in front of you, your reaction is going to be, ah! I haven't read any of Lovecraft's books, but I do know that just to look upon any of the great old ones is enough to drive a person insane. How is this kid so calm? Okay, that's a little better, but come on. After a little chase, the ancient cosmic horror almost falls down a ravine. What? And Howard is somehow able to pull him up. Also what? His ability to stand upright already looks like a feat of impossible strength. How is he helping this thing, and why should he even need his help?
Save life, you master.
Oh, there's the madness that we've been missing. This ancient cosmic horror owes a life debt to this small boy. Sounds crazy to me! So, just to recap, we open with a little boy who's visiting his father in an insane asylum. He's spouting all kinds of crazy gibberish. We don't know what's going on, and there's a legitimate sense of anxiety working its way off the ground as we're delving into strange, unknown territory. And that immediately falls to shit when Howard bumps into a giant Patrick the Starfish. It's a good thing I'm not a fan of Lovecraft, or I'd be feeling really pissed off right now. The monster tries to introduce himself as Tutu Mung, but since Howard can't put those words together in his head for some reason, he just calls him Spot. Yep, downplay the unknowable entity that makes mankind feel completely insignificant. That works. Of course, they become fast friends, and Spot helps Howard on his way back home. Sadly, one of his wings was injured during their little chase, so we're stuck walking instead of flying.
Where master from?
Oh, well, my home is Providence, Rhode Island. That's where I need to go.
Where Providence, Rhode Island?
It's in New England?
New England?
You've never heard of it?
Have heard of it.
Really?
Master said it.
So you've just heard of it right now?
Yes.
Really not helpful.
Our little protagonist is already bored and sarcastic with the giant alien monster. Lovely. They arrive at the home of Spot's friends, who look like a cross between Captain Jack Sparrow and the Fish Police. Oh my god, I just made a Fish Police reference. I am so old! They take Howard in to get a bite to eat.
You have dark circles under your eyes.
So do you. Why are you pointing that out?
Over and up. Up and over.
Can't quite sit right.
Yes, I imagine that you would have trouble sitting on an ordinary stool.
You don't get ground where you're from?
No. Not really. Where I'm from, we eat green veggies and farm animals.
Howard, tell us of these Fahar animals.
Oh, we keep the bigger animals in special areas. We drink their milk, wear their hides, and eat their meat. Not sure about the rest.
You know, I love it when a movie takes us into a strange alien environment, and the bulk of the dialogue is spent on describing where the hero comes from instead of letting us explore the aforementioned strange alien environment.
How destructive these creatures must be, that you have to devour them.
Are you constantly attacked by the tiny squid that you're eating?
How is it that I can talk to you? Did someone teach you English?
Not exactly. We share what we call a lanoth. It kind of means transmission would be the right word. We can speak without speaking.
Then why are your mouths moving with your creepy people teeth?
All of you have been really nice so far. So is Spot. I mean, he was scary at first, but
There are bad things out there, Howard. Badder than I know how to tell you. Really has many creatures. Some hidden, some waiting. All fierce and powerful in ways that you can't imagine.
So what you're saying is, stay out of the darkness.
What we're saying is this world may look cool and peaceful, but you have to be very careful, Howard. Your father, he was curious. He liked to explore. Perhaps he saw too much of our world. There are things that can harm you in more ways that you can ever imagine. If you wake them, there may never be a chance of you getting back home. The one who sleeps, Cthulhu,
The great dreamer. The sleeper Avrolay.
there are ancient creatures here, Howard. He is the king of them. The power you need to go home may be strong enough to wake him. You have to be very careful in your travels. You have to be even more careful of who you call your friend.
You can't be too careful about who you can trust. Anyway, eat up. Go on, eat. Why aren't you eating? You must be famished. After hitting the lack of a sack and having a freaky little dream that just looks like random nonsense, Howard gets the idea to go to a castle. Yeah. He sees a castle in his dream, and that's enough to tell him that he has to go to a castle to get home.
Master,
Yes, Spot.
where you come from?
What do you mean?
How your land different?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, it's not like this all the time. We get snow too, but we only get a little bit, and only in the winter. I mean, here it just goes on forever and ever. But where I'm from, I'm lucky if we get enough snow to cancel school. Or, not that it matters.
Not matter.
Because when I'm at school, I see all the other children being friends with each other. None of them want to be friends with me.
Why?
Because I'm, different. Everybody in my family worries all the time about me or my father. We don't take a lot of time to play. Children should play.
Hey, there's an idea. Go outside and play instead of watching this crap. Why are we listening to this kid explain his world? Why do you think the kids watching are going to be interested in this? He briefly mentions how his family worries about his father. Yes, they should worry about his father because he's frickin' nuts. Why is he frickin' nuts? Because he allegedly went mad when talking about this world. Can we see more of this world, please? Preferably something a little more scary and madness-inducing than snow-covered pine trees? Oh no! Snowy mountains! My mind is shaken to its core!
We've talked about me a lot. What about you? Do you have any family?
What? Family?
You have to have mom and dad. Some brothers and sisters. Can't be all alone out here.
Raleigh not like New England. Many alone. Family not for helping. Family dangerous. Family scary.
Yeah, sometimes my family can be pretty scary, but that doesn't mean I don't want to go back for them.
Oh my god, you just said that you've been talking about yourself a lot! Do you want to let the monster talk? No, instead of telling us more about his world, Spot suggests that they all stop and play for a while.
She'll Spot play.
Well, in a place like this, with all this snow, I could see them building a lot of snowmen.
Snowmen.
Haven't you ever built a snowman before?
Don't you f***ing dare!
Do you want to build a snowman?
No, we don't! Let's move on!
Don't you mean, let it go, let it go?
And then they do it! The movie's been dragging on with absolutely nothing, then pauses from its absolutely nothing just so it can give us more nothing! Is this what they're talking about when they say, when you stare at the abyss stares back?
What do you think?
Unfortunately, it looks scarier than the giant demon monster.
It looks like the snowman from Jack Frost.
Then we waste a little more time with the snowball fight. Ugh. No! You can't do that with a kid from the 1890s! The kids who are watching this movie might get that reference, but Howard? He's not gonna!
Dodge this.
Alright, that was awesome!
Did Spot just kill Howard?
Pretty sure Spot just killed Howard, yes.
So the movie's over. Admittedly, it was a little slow to start, but that ending.
Oh yes, very satisfying. Mwah! No, of course he survives this, and then we get a game of hide and seek because the movie wants us to suffer more. How exactly is something as big as Spot supposed to hide, and how is he not leaving behind any tracks for Howard to follow? Then we get Spot making another giant snowball, and... Wait, can Howard not see the giant snowball coming at him? Hello? Snowball!
He does look very sickly. Maybe he's nearsighted too?
Hours later, they finally get to the castle they were looking for, the access of which is gained by a drawbridge, where they clearly forgot to animate chains holding it up. Oops.
Huh. That's not what I imagined.
Imagine.
Yeah, I thought in my head it would be, I don't know, cleaner?
I know, right? This town is an unholy mess. Wait a minute, no it isn't. What is he talking about? They're somehow taken prisoner by these tiny pig demon things, which Spot can very easily handle himself. And when they come to...
I know you promised to get me out of the cold and into someplace warm. But Spot,
Yes?
being cooked alive was not in my mind.
Oh wait, I meant to say, that's not what I had in mind. It's fine, son. Keep going. You're doing great, sweetie. They somehow escape, but the pig demon guards are on them.
Arrows?
No, honey, that's a spear. You need a bow to fire arrows, and that's way too advanced for these animators.
Efficient.
Very efficient. We didn't even have time to move to the edge of our seats, that was so intense. After the guards just give up, I guess, Howard and Spot are escorted to meet Algid, the queen of this place? I don't know, they don't explain exactly what she is, and her design looks less like royalty and more like Miss Havisham. She takes them to Bowser's castle in Mario 64, and explains that a terrible monster called Cthulhu threatened to drown their once green and happy land, but they froze it and beat him to the punch. She also explains that one of the books that Howard's father wrote might have the means to unfreeze their kingdom, and it's somewhere underground, but no one ever thought of trying to find the book because Legos. Howard volunteers to retrieve the book since it might also get him home. He recruits Spot to help him get it, despite Spot's objections, because that's what friends do. Then they're on their way. Hooray, more wandering around this land of pure sensory deprivation. They eventually come across a cave in the side of a glacier.
What is that?
What is that? You're in a land of goblins and fish people, and a penguin is what throws you off?
It's hideous.
It's a penguin! Why are you more disgusted by a penguin than you are a 10-foot tentacle-faced monster?
Howard goes inside the cave because I guess this is as good a place as any to randomly look for the book he needs. He finds it almost immediately because of course he does. But then...
Hey! Ah!
Who dares disturb the sleep of Shoggoth?
Hey, I'm sleeping here, you mook! You know, just because Ron Perlman may have played a monster or two, that doesn't mean his voice works for every monster. It tells Howard that Spot was actually the dreaded Cthulhu this whole time. So then why has he been calling himself Tutu Mung, and why would a notorious destroyer of worlds be fine with this little nothing calling him Spot? And it's Howard's fault that his world will soon come to an end.
Your role in history is complete. I want to savor this moment, Howard Lovecraft. And I shall savor it after I gobble you up and slowly digest you over 1,000 years.
Because you're a Sarlacc?
Put him down. Now! Get away from him, you bitch!
Spot immediately gets eaten. Then... the bigger monster blows up? Because he saw this tiny token that has the Elder sign on it, maybe?
That was confusing and gross.
They leave the cave, while leaving the book behind, you're a couple of idiots, and they fly back to the castle since Spot's wing has finally healed. And for some reason, this faster mode of travel is taking them longer to get back, since we can clearly see the castle from here during the night, but they keep on flying into the next day.
Great continuity!
Of course, the larger sin of this little flight scene is that we could be enjoying a somewhat more visually interesting scene while flying through a dazzling starlit sky, but nah, just give us more boring exposition against a boring white background while boringly staying in place, making it look like they might as well be standing around. It would appear that Spot is vulnerable to that elder sign thing too, except when Howard puts it away and then he's just fine. I get that symbols have power, but would a crucifix suddenly stop working against Dracula if he just shuts his eyes?
Maybe it's like kryptonite and Howard's pants are lined with lead.
It's just a necklace.
We're fine.
It was given to me.
Powerful gift. Elder sign is great power. Careful. Book also has power. Make Algid return you home.
You don't think she would just let me go?
Maybe. Promises in relay are weak.
What? But you deceived me. Why'd you... I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very glad you didn't.
We play in snow. Make men of snow. We are friends. Friends not eat each other.
Yeah, we're on the same page there.
Unless they get very hungry.
Spot! You told a joke!
Yes. Good one?
Yeah.
My friend Cthulhu.
Ugh. Eric Cartman befriending Cthulhu was more believable than this.
Cthulhu, Cthulhu. Cthulhu, Cthulhu. Yeah! The evil, hate-filled Cthulhu from a dimension far away, flying through gates of madness and into your heart. Yeah, fuck all you!
They somehow get the book back to Algid. Where on his tiny person could Howard have possibly kept it? And she uses the book to cast a spell on Spot and use him to take over the universe.
Of course.
I am the beast that haunts your father's dreams. I am the shadow that shall bring your doom. I am the poet that warned them. I am king. I am Abdul Al-Hazred!
No, you're some bit player from Cats. And I'm sorry, but you don't command a lot of respect as ruler of infinity when you're running an army of half a dozen squeaky toy aliens from Toy Story. But then those fish kids randomly show up to save the day. No build-up, no reason, they're just here now, shut up and accept it. Howard gets the book back and gets Spot under his control. Yeah, he couldn't pronounce his name earlier, and he's now casting spells out of this book that he shouldn't be able to read.
Bullshit!
Oh no, it's on now! Okay, full disclosure, I added the squeaky sounds when they're marching around just for comedic effect, but the slapping and squeaking, I didn't do that. That's the movie itself.
None of these words make sense.
I didn't stop you from reading them a second ago! Of course, these small children with no fighting experience whatsoever are able to take down these royal guards without any kind of effort whatsoever. Howard then manages to summon a doorway back to his bedroom.
Run! Master Howard! Go!
No! I'm not leaving any of you.
Oh, shut up. This is their world, they belong here, and they can clearly handle anything here that might even be remotely considered a threat. He uses the Elder Sign thing to zap these shadow demons away, and Algid runs off.
This is not my final form. I shall return, and you'll never see me coming. This is not a victory for you, Howard. This is only a delay of the inevitable!
You'll never defeat me. Bye now.
Now that that's all settled, time to go home.
You squid kids. I love you guys. Tutu Hamon, Spot, I will never forget you.
I think I'll miss you most of all. So he goes through the portal, without trying to restore their kingdom back to normal, that's nice, and he goes back to the asylum to give his father the book. By the way, why does the architecture in our world look so twisted while that of the weird alien world looks so normal?
You did it! You did it, my boy! You closed the portal to Relay!
I hope you can rest now, Father.
My evil deed is undone. Thank you, my boy. Thank you. Now I can get better.
Wasn't the portal already closed and Howard had to make a new one to get to the Frozen Kingdom?
Maybe he's talking about the portal that Howard opened and he's glad that he closed it? That's a good thing, right?
And it sure is a good thing that insanity can just be undone this easily.
I will learn your secrets, no matter how long it takes me.
And then the world will be mine. Mwahahahahahaha. So that was Howard Lovecraft and the Frozen Who the Hell Is This Movie For? I'm pretty sure that Lovecraft fans are going to be bored to tears watching this dreck. The little kids of the intended audience aren't going to comprehend any of this. So again, who is this movie for exactly? The animation is ugly, the story is confusing and boring, the application of these Lovecraftian elements is insulting, and using your family as your principal cast is just a bad idea. Professional voice actors exist for a reason, and they need to be respected. I don't know how the director thought about making this movie and its 2 sequels, but I have only one thing to say about that. Life isn't some crappy CGI cartoon where you can just take some literary figure and magically turn him into a franchise. So let it go.
Let it go, let it go. I am one with the wind and sky. Let it go, let it go. You'll never see me cry. Here I stand, here I stay. Let the storm rage on. My power flurries through the air into the ground. My soul is spiraling in frozen fractals all around. And one thought crystallizes like an icy blast. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let it go, let it go. When I rise like the break of dawn. Let it go, let it go. That perfect girl is gone. Here I stand in the light of day. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.
Why aren't you eating? You must be famished.
Don't do that!
Why? It works.
Subscribe, like, follow, comment, share, watch more.